AITA for bringing a surprise guest to the rehearsal dinner to expose a massive lie. I am 29 years old and completely at a loss for words. I do not know who to talk to about what my soon-to-be wife has done. My name is Brandon. I have been engaged to Megan for 1 year. Before proposing to her, we had been together for almost 4 years. I first met her in Houston, Texas, when I traveled there for a work conference organized by my company. Megan was working as a waitress at the event, and I could not help but notice how attractive she was. I decided to strike up a conversation, and to my delight, she responded positively. That evening, we ended up spending time together. The next morning, I still felt a strong connection with Megan, so I asked her out on a real date. Our dinner went exceptionally well, and I wanted to spend more time with her. I even extended my trip so we could spend a few more days together. When I had to fly back home to San Diego, I promised Megan that I would stay in touch, and I kept my word. We kept texting, calling, sharing our days, and growing closer despite the distance. After 3 months, we realized our feelings were much stronger than we had anticipated. I wanted to take it further, so I invited her to come visit me. I still remember how nervous I felt driving to pick Megan up at San Diego International Airport. My stomach was in knots, and I checked my watch every few seconds. But as soon as I saw her walk out of the terminal, all my anxiety vanished. I could not help but run to her and hug her. At that moment, I realized how much I had missed her. Megan had no idea about the life I led here. She knew I was doing well, but she was still pleasantly surprised when she saw my apartment in the city. I had even cleared out a whole section of my closet so she could store her things. I wanted her stay to be as comfortable as possible by making sure she felt welcomed and integrated into my life. The 2 weeks she spent with me strengthened my confidence in our relationship. We fit perfectly into each other's lives and routines. She loved staying active as much as I did, so we would get up early in the morning to go for a run along the coastal trails or meditate in the park. This routine was important to me because I always had busy work days at the office, and I liked starting my mornings the right way. I was happy to be able to share it with my partner. Megan also introduced me to the benefits of focusing more on plant-based meals. Although I am not completely vegan, I learned to prioritize vegetables over meat as much as possible. We introduced healthy changes into our lives, and it was obvious that we were positively influencing each other. So, when it was time for her to leave, I could not bear the thought of being separated from her again. I nervously suggested that she move in with me. I told her how happy I felt around her and how much I loved having her at my place. I expressed how used to her presence I had become and how wonderful it was to share my life with her. To my great joy and relief, she felt the same way. She confided in me that she had already thought about it too. We had an honest discussion, after which we both knew it was the right decision for us. Over the next 2 months, Megan packed up her whole life in Texas. She quit her job and took the necessary steps to relocate. When she finally moved in with me in San Diego, it marked the beginning of a beautiful new chapter in our lives. From the very beginning, Megan shared her dream of becoming a graphic designer with me. She confessed that she had not learned much at her community college back in Texas, which had been a disappointment for her. I could see how passionate she was about this dream, and I wanted to support her as best as I could. I told her I would be happy to pay her tuition if she wanted to attend a real university where she could receive the education and training she deserved. I encouraged her to start researching and weigh her options. After some difficult research and a lot of thought, Megan found a university in San Diego with a graphic design program that excited her. When she got accepted, I was thrilled to start paying her tuition. It was great to see her so enthusiastic about learning new things every day. She would come home with new stories about what she had learned, and she seemed genuinely happy and inspired by her studies. All of this strengthened our bond and confirmed my belief that she was the right person for me. We often spent our evenings discussing her projects, and I loved being part of her journey toward achieving her dream. Megan was also incredibly supportive of my career throughout our relationship. From the start, she encouraged me to aim higher and apply for jobs outside my comfort zone. Her belief in my abilities was a constant source of motivation for me. Thanks to this encouragement, I took initiative and changed jobs twice. Today, thanks to her support and my willingness to take risks, my salary has doubled. This financial stability not only benefited us as a couple, but it also boosted my self-confidence. I hope this shows how strong we were together, which is why, When I recently discovered her betrayal, it hurt me deeply. You see, Megan had told me about her past. She had previously been married to a man named Josh, whom she described as a complete jerk. Josh was difficult and had created a toxic environment that hurt Megan both physically and emotionally. She told me she was young and naive when she started dating him and stayed in the relationship hoping he would eventually change, but he never did. Instead, he kept drinking and gambling his money away. Megan confided that she often did not have a dime in the bank because Josh would take her paycheck as soon as she received it. She tried to leave once or twice, but Josh always found her and begged for one last chance. Not having grown up in a healthy home, Megan ended up believing that what she experienced with Josh was love, so she forgave him, but the cycle of problems and betrayal repeated over and over again. I have no idea why she agreed to marry him after all that when he proposed. Apparently, they were married for a year and a half. Megan told me how he would spend his nights stepping out with strangers he met in bars, which disgusted me every time. But what really made me angry was that this guy left her upon learning she was unable to have children. He had been difficult, manipulative, and cruel, but this final betrayal drove me crazy. Megan had told me about her inability to have children very early in our relationship. She did not want us to get seriously involved without me knowing what I was getting into. I still remember her worried look when she first opened up to me. She told me I was free to leave because she could never give me a child. I could clearly see her anguish, as if she was bracing herself for me to leave her, but I took her hands and told her it did not matter to me at all. I explained that I had never wanted children. My own childhood had not been easy. My parents worked all the time, were rarely home, and I had to fend for myself on numerous occasions. I did not want to bring a child into the world and risk repeating their mistakes. Megan's eyes filled with relief and gratitude, and I felt our bond grow even stronger in that moment. Although Megan had no choice regarding her condition, she admitted that, over time, she had come to accept it. She told me how Josh had made her feel inadequate when he found out about her situation, speaking to her in a way that deeply wounded her. She then confided that she was happy with me and grateful that I chose to stay by her side. I reassured her that we were more than enough for each other, that we could grow old together, retire early, and travel the world. At the time, I thought she had told me everything, that it was the whole truth, but I was completely wrong. I had believed every word she told me about her past. I trusted her completely, convinced that our relationship was built on honesty, but I did not yet know that in reality, she was hiding secrets. Secrets that, once revealed, would shatter my trust in her and make me question everything I thought I knew about us. This year, I proposed to Megan. We were doing great, and to me, it was the logical next step in our story. I put a lot of effort into my proposal, knowing how much this moment meant to her. I took her to her favorite restaurant with a view of the ocean. At sunset, I gathered my courage, stood up from my chair, took a deep breath, and asked her to marry me. I had even hired a photographer to capture the moment, so she could keep it as a precious memory. When she said yes, I felt like I was over the moon. The joy and excitement in her eyes made every effort completely worth it, and I could not have been happier. While planning our wedding, I encouraged Megan to take the reins and organize the ceremony she had always dreamed of. She had often confided in me that she never had her dream wedding during her first marriage, so I wanted to give her that chance. While she focused on the wedding details, I took responsibility for finding us a new house. We had been living in my apartment since the beginning of our relationship, and I felt it was time to move to a bigger, cozier place where we could start our lives as newlyweds. 2 months ago, as we were preparing for the wedding, I found the perfect house for us. It fit perfectly into our budget and was located in a San Diego suburb close to my office. Megan loved it too, and we were excited to move in and settle down together before our big day. Once the purchase was finalized, we started packing our things and organizing our move. Having lived in my apartment for several years, I had quite a bit of stuff to sort through. About 2 weeks before the wedding, while sorting through our belongings to pack them into boxes, I came across a shoebox carefully tucked away on the top shelf of the closet. It immediately caught my attention because I did not remember seeing it before. Out of curiosity, I opened it, expecting to find an old pair of Megan's shoes, but instead, I found it filled with envelopes and old photos. I sat on the floor and began examining the contents of the box. At the time, I did not think of it as an invasion of her privacy since we had always been transparent with each other. I expected to find childhood photos, but very quickly, my amusement turned into confusion, then shock, when I found pictures of her with another man. Even though I had never met Josh, Megan had described him enough for me to recognize him in these pictures. Oddly, he looked nothing like the person I had imagined from Megan's stories. He looked completely ordinary. As I flipped through the photos, I suddenly froze when I came across a picture of Megan with a clearly round, pregnant belly. My hands started to shake as I stared at these photos of my soon-to-be wife sitting next to Josh, visibly pregnant. I blinked several times, unable to comprehend what I was seeing. Megan had always told me she was unable to have children, so seeing her with a round belly in these pictures left me completely stunned. At first, I thought it might be a sick joke from Josh, a doctored photo to mock her. But the more I dug into the box, the more pictures I found of her pregnant. In one of them, she was surrounded by her friends, seemingly in the middle of a baby shower. In all these photos, she looked happy and relaxed, which was surprising given what she had told me about her marriage to Josh. Megan had stated with certainty that she was unable to have children, and yet, these photos clearly showed otherwise. I frantically searched, desperately looking for a picture of her holding a baby, but I found none. Had she lost the child? Was that why she never told me about this part of her past? That day, I barely made any progress with my boxes, too overwhelmed by my discovery. I did not know if I should confront Megan about it. Later, when night fell and she came home from work, we had a casual conversation about our day. I tried to bring the topic up subtly by mentioning that I had stumbled upon a shoebox in her closet while cleaning up. Her expression instantly changed. Her face turned pale, and she asked me if I had opened it. Even though I had, I felt the need to lie in that moment, so I said no. When I asked her what was inside, she hesitated before replying that it was just old memories she preferred not to look back on. Obviously, she was trying to hide the truth from me. My trust in our relationship wavered. Over the next few days, I could not stop dwelling on this whole thing. Something was wrong, and what if I confronted her and she lied to me again despite the photos? How could I be certain this time that she was finally telling me the truth? So, I made the only decision that seemed logical, contacting her ex to find out the truth. It took some effort to find him on Facebook, but I eventually located him and sent a friend request, hoping he would accept it. The next day, I saw that he had accepted it, so I rushed into the bathroom to scroll through his photos without being interrupted by Megan. I was completely shocked to come across pictures of Josh's child. There were pictures of a boy celebrating his birthdays, opening his Christmas presents, just living his life. What struck me the most was the familiarity in his eyes. They reflected Megan's in an unsettling way. It was Megan's child, the one she had never told me about. How could she hide something so important from someone she claimed to love and trust? I could not believe she had completely fabricated a lie about her condition instead of coming clean. Megan must have sensed my unease when I came out of the bathroom, lost in thought. She worriedly asked me what was wrong, but I was too shocked to say a word. When she asked if something was bothering me, I tried to dodge the question by saying my mind was occupied with work, but deep down, I was struggling with the realization that I no longer knew who my soon-to-be wife truly was. That day, while I was at work, I made the decision to message Josh. I knew if I did not, it would haunt me forever. The uncertainty was eating me up inside, and I knew I could not ignore it anymore. I sent him a very polite message. "Hello, Josh. I hope this message finds you well. I have been in a relationship with your ex Megan for some time, and we are currently engaged. Recently, I came across some old photos of the two of you, which sparked my curiosity about your past. I had no idea she was pregnant while she was married to you. I understand this might be unexpected, but I would really like for us to talk about it. Your perspective could help me better understand certain things. Thank you for your time." I waited anxiously for him to read my message, but it remained unread. I still hoped there was a simpler explanation for all this, and that maybe Megan was not really hiding something. All sorts of doubts crossed my mind. Then, around noon, I was surprised to see a reply from Josh, and I quickly opened it. In his message, he wrote that he was shocked to learn Megan was engaged. He confirmed that she had indeed been pregnant and had given birth to their son, whom he was now raising. He even included his phone number, inviting me to call him so we could discuss it in more detail. The fact that Megan was engaged to me while having a child with her ex-husband was devastating. I felt betrayed and hurt, wondering how I could have been so blind as to not see through her lies. I dialed the number he gave me so we could talk more thoroughly. During our conversation, Josh opened up about his relationship with Megan and told me about their past. When I mentioned the difficult relationship allegations, he seemed genuinely shocked and vehemently denied them. He even encouraged me to ask Megan, claiming there would be no photographic evidence because those events never happened. As we talked, Josh explained that their history was well known in their hometown, since they had been friends for years before dating. He told me that Megan was the one eager to get married and settle down, which led them to get engaged and move in with his parents. He said he was thrilled at the idea of spending his life with her. However, Megan's pregnancy brought up mixed feelings. She expressed both joy and anxiety about getting pregnant too soon. Josh mentioned that he supported her when she considered other options, but by the time she made a decision, it was too late. So she had no choice but to carry the pregnancy to term. Unfortunately, the situation deteriorated after childbirth because she was diagnosed with postpartum depression. That was when everything changed for him. Megan began struggling significantly with the responsibilities, neglecting the child, and even leaving him alone for hours despite his cries of hunger and distress. When Josh found out, they had a huge argument during which Megan accused their child of ruining her life. She said the baby was responsible for her bad moods. While Josh tried to calm her down, she threatened to give the baby away, and that is when he realized how severe her mental state was. He immediately asked her to leave because she posed an immense danger to their child. Josh told me he filed for divorce immediately because he knew that if she stayed, she could have created further harm, and he could not let that happen. Throughout the divorce, Megan did not stop blaming their child for everything and even sent messages that raised serious concerns about the child's safety, which terrified him even more. Ultimately, Megan's family asked her to leave after the divorce was finalized because no one felt safe around her. Josh assured me he could send me proof, including Megan's medical records and the divorce papers, to back up what he was telling me. Reading those documents made me feel like I was discovering a totally different person. I could not believe someone capable of these actions was actually my soon-to-be wife. Everything made sense now, like the fact that Megan always had a strong negative reaction around children. I mean, many women face challenges with fertility, but they would never create an unsafe environment for kids. But she had. As for her lie about her past and her completely fabricated story, it was probably to gain my sympathy. Obviously, she wanted to escape her old life and knew I could offer her everything she desired. I shook my head, realizing how naive I had been to let her manipulate me all this time. If I leave my soon-to-be wife after discovering all this, should I give her a chance to explain herself? Update 1. Wow. This morning I woke up to hundreds of comments under my Reddit post. I am glad everyone is as concerned as I am about what my soon-to-be wife has done. I cannot believe that just a few days ago, I thought Megan was the love of my life. Clearly, she never truly loved me because no one could hide such a massive secret from their partner. The worst part is not just that she lied. It is that she completely fabricated a different story to play the victim. If she is capable of lying with such conviction, I cannot help but wonder what could happen if we got married and she invented false accusations against me in the future. I do not want to be married to someone like that. However, I agree with everyone. Megan deserves a chance to give me her side of the story, but I am not going to make it easy for her. In a few days, we have our rehearsal dinner, and I decided to invite Josh and his son to see how Megan will try to explain herself this time. I will not let her get away with these lies. Update 2. I know everyone has been waiting for this update. Sorry for taking a few days. I needed time to recover from what happened at our rehearsal dinner. In short, I spoke with Josh and asked him to come with his son so we could confront Megan. At first, he hesitated because he did not want her to lash out at their child, but I reassured him that nothing like that would happen, and I encouraged him to stand up for himself and confront the lies she was telling about him. After some back and forth, he agreed and booked their flight tickets and a hotel. On the evening of the rehearsal dinner, Megan seemed cheerful and relaxed, surrounded by her friends. None of her family members were present because she had insisted on not inviting them. As the evening progressed, I stood up and tapped my glass to get everyone's attention, which instantly plunged the room into silence. I started my speech by expressing my gratitude to everyone present, especially thanking Megan. She smiled, looking very happy. Then, I took a deep breath and announced that I had a special surprise for my future wife. With a simple gesture, I directed everyone's eyes to the back of the room where Josh was standing with his son. Megan's expression changed instantly. She turned to me, her eyes filled with confusion about what was happening. In front of everyone, I announced that Megan's son and ex-husband were here. Complete silence fell as the guests processed this revelation. Her friends leaned toward her, looking for confirmation, while Megan herself looked humiliated, avoiding eye contact and staring at the floor. I went on to reveal that my soon-to-be wife had been lying to me from the very beginning of our relationship about many things. She had claimed to be unable to have children and a victim of a difficult relationship with her ex-husband, when in reality, I had proof showing that she had created an unsafe environment for her son due to mental health struggles. I explained how I discovered the truth by stumbling upon photos in her old shoebox, sharing the agony of learning that our entire relationship was built on lies. One of her friends, unable to hide her disbelief, demanded explanations out loud from Megan, pointing out that she had lied to them and had previously made up several stories in the past. Megan, unable to answer, stood up and tried to walk away. I then removed the engagement ring and declared in front of everyone that our wedding was canceled. I explained that given everything I had discovered, I could not envision a future with a person capable of deceiving me to this extent. As I left the room, I felt nothing but certainty about my decision. Despite the financial losses tied to canceling the wedding, I found comfort in having avoided the emotional toll of a potential divorce in the future. After the dinner, many people came up to me to show their support and amazement at Megan's lies. Josh and his son stayed in town for a few days, and we had lunch together twice. Josh seemed like a kind person, and his son was very well behaved. As for Megan, she is currently nowhere to be found and is ignoring my calls. I took the initiative to pack up all her things and store them in my basement so she can pick them up if she decides to come back. Update 3. Hello everyone. It has been 2 months since my last update. I did not want to leave you hanging, so here is my final update. I am doing well. I live alone in my new house, and I love it. Yes, I thought I would be living here with my wife by now, but despite everything, I am grateful for how things turned out. I appreciate the life I get to lead and the things I can afford. I started therapy because I feel the need to work on my trust issues. No one had ever betrayed me this way before, so it will take me time to heal and consider dating anyone again. Megan finally reached out to me to apologize. She told me how ashamed she was after being exposed and that she needed time to gather her thoughts. Despite these seemingly sincere words, I stood firm and showed no interest in listening to her explanations or her begging for my forgiveness. It was clear that I had reached my limit with her manipulative behavior, and I wanted to cut all contact. I told her I did not need an explanation and offered to send her belongings wherever she wanted. She seemed surprised by my indifference and asked if I could ever forgive her. I laughed, realizing how ridiculous she sounded, and made it very clear that I was done playing these games. I firmly told her that I never wanted anything to do with her again. Megan repeated how sorry she was for her past, but I interrupted her, bluntly telling her that she should be, because she is the one who hurt everyone. I insisted she come pick up her things quickly. She finally agreed. The day she came to get her stuff, I deliberately chose not to be home and entrusted the task to a friend to avoid any confrontation with Megan. I did not even want to see her. That was the last time I heard from her. Since that day, she has not dared to contact me again. As for Josh, we are still friends on Facebook, and from his pictures, he seems to be doing well with his son. I have not reached out to him because I do not want to unnecessarily interfere in their lives. I am thankful he helped me that day by attending my rehearsal dinner and potentially saving me from a disastrous marriage. Update 4. I have to come back with an update because Megan is still in my life, and before anyone calls me a doormat, because I know this subreddit is quick to use that word. No, I did not get back together with her. Megan is still in my life because she continues to create problems after lying to me. In my last update, I mentioned that she came to pick up her things and fortunately nothing strange had happened. However, a few weeks later, she completely started harassing me. First, she started adding my friends on social media and told them I had created a difficult situation for her and that I was the problem, explaining that was why I did what I did at the rehearsal dinner. I guess she preferred to use this tactic so people would not see my post and would not be able to reply with the truth. But despite this, her plan did not work because my friends informed me and even blocked her. Then, she put up posters in my new neighborhood. They showed my face with a message warning people to be careful if they saw me because, in addition to creating issues in relationships, they also needed to watch their kids, implying I was some kind of risk. A few friends and I tried to take down as many as possible, but there are likely still some out there somewhere. Finally, she showed up at my workplace and told the receptionist she wanted to speak to human resources to tell them essentially the same thing that was on the posters, or at least that is what she told the receptionist, because then I was called in to be questioned about her. I briefly explained the situation, and they did not let her in. They sent her away because she seemed unstable, making it hard to believe anything she said. I have not seen her in person, but from what I was told, I imagine she relapsed into her issues, and before anyone says anything to me, because I have seen this happen often in other stories, from the very first thing she did, I immediately consulted a lawyer. He recommended I file a police report so everything is documented, which will help me later to request a restraining order and take other legal actions. For now, the police have not done anything, so we are working on that. Fortunately, all this confirms to me that I dodged a bullet, although a friend of mine thinks it is more like a bomb. Update 5. This update is to tell you that my ex has been taken into police custody because her latest stunt was throwing paint on my front door and my car. She did this during the night, and although I do not have a camera, a neighbor did. We were able to see it was her, so I went to the police station with a copy of the footage and filed a complaint, which led to her arrest. At least one good thing came out of it. Now my neighbor knows my story and has seen the evidence, so I hope it will spread in the neighborhood and counter the posters she had put up. On the other hand, I do not know what they will do with her. I guess it is up to the judge to decide if she stays detained or gets sent to a psychiatric facility. Either way, it is not my problem anymore, and I hope it never will be again. I do not know which option is better for me, because if she is declared mentally incompetent, I will not be able to sue her to pay for all the damages, but that is a question I should discuss with my lawyer at our next meeting. I think it would be a small price to pay to never have to see her again. If you do not hear from me again, it is because my ex has not come back and everything is settled, or in the worst case scenario, she made me disappear, but that last part is a joke. Well, I think so. Right? Comment. Hey everyone, thanks for watching this with me today. I keep thinking about how important it is to value our own self-worth no matter what. Setting healthy boundaries might be hard at first, but it protects the peace we all deserve. Trusting your gut when something feels off can save you from so much pain later. Healing from betrayal is not easy, yet it is one of the most powerful things we can do for ourselves. Choosing calm and honesty over chaos shows real strength and maturity. I hope this encourages you to always put your mental and emotional health first. Taking responsibility for our happiness helps us attract better relationships in the future. Be gentle with yourself as you learn these important lessons. Let's continue to support each other in creating lives filled with respect, kindness, and genuine peace. If you like the stories, don't forget to leave a comment and support the channel by subscribing. See you in the upcoming stories.